As channeled from the beings of light through Liesel, there is much that is arising on your third-dimensional plane that triggers fear in people. This is actually the opportunity for a great blessing, because for some people this intense fear will cause a release and a surrender to evolution from within. This sense of the overwhelming, that which you feel may destroy your world, can actually provide the impetus for the ultimate point of your world, awakening. Just as the heightened anxiety and fear within a nightmare can bring the dreamer out of the dream, so too, can the apparent chaos in your world and the fear that it elicits, contain the potential jolt that serves to encourage the personality to surrender to the vastness, and ultimately, the true safety of the depths of the oneness within. There is much that is being drawn out in your world. Just as a boil may come to the surface of the skin, or poison may be drawn out of a wound, the human collective mind is awash with many poisons which spirit is currently attempting to draw out. However, many of you forget this bigger picture and instead only focus on the poisons themselves. Indeed, the very fact that these poisons are so prevalent in your world is positive evidence of the collective body of humanity purging these poisons from within itself. If you perceive poisons within the world, realize that they cannot be remedied with adversarial energy. The only antidote is love. Adversarial energy always creates more of the very thing it opposes. So, be very mindful of how you, yourself, may be introducing poison into the world. If you perceive darkness in the world, do not fight the darkness, as the fight itself will inherently contain elements of the darkness. Instead, shine light intensely, bravely, and with relentless love. Create so much illumination around the pockets of darkness, that it is clear for all to see what those pockets are, and they will dissolve in the power of this glaring brilliance. Also, allow for grace and forgiveness for yourself if you are temporarily overcome by the ego during this collective process of purging, and remember that to judge yourself is the same as to judge others, as there is really only the one. And finally, a dear part of us who some of you call Jesus has this to share: I did not teach the people by rooting out the darkness within them. I taught the people by seeing even the faintest spark of light within them and nurturing and fanning that spark, until they, themselves, could begin to perceive it and continue to stoke the fire from within. Always know our love is truly with you, because our love truly is you. As channeled from the beings of light through Liesel, we would like to use an analogy to communicate further and clarify the soul's pre-birth plans. Imagine what seems like an infinite number of giant sheets of paper stacked on top of one another. When each piece of paper is handled individually, it appears to be an almost two-dimensional object because its thickness is relatively negligible. However, when the entire stack of paper is viewed together, there is a third dimension, namely, the height of the stack of paper. For the purposes of our analogy, let us now just imagine a very tall stack of sheets of papers, as this is easier for the human brain to visualize. The height dimension of the stack of papers represents the spectrum of energetic vibration an incarnate human being can be in. The thickness of each sheet of paper is a tiny slice of that spectrum, a quantum sliver. Now, imagine that this stack of paper articulates all of the possible life plans and life plan choices for you in this lifetime. If you went up to the stack of paper and removed the piece of paper from within the stack that precisely corresponded with your vibration at this moment, on that particular piece of paper would be written all of the possible life plan and life plan choices for you right now at this vibration. However, if you then removed from the stack the sheet directly above or directly below where the first sheet was, you would find that they contain slightly different life plans and choices. If you then removed a piece of paper much higher up the stack than the first sheet you removed, you would find that the life plans and life plan choices differed greatly from those on the very first piece of paper. You would also find that these plans contained much more learning through joyful, loving experiences. If you then removed a piece of paper from much lower in the stack than the original piece, you would find that the life plans and choices on this sheet were primarily based in learning through pain and suffering. This is why your vibration and the prioritization of raising your vibration through practices like meditation, yoga, present moment awareness, self-reflection, etc. are so very crucial. Raising your vibration, or more accurately, allowing it to rise, is the single most powerful thing you can do to transform your life and your life circumstances. It is also the single most powerful thing you can do to transform the world. See the transformational effect channeling. It is the very reason for the stack of papers in the first place. So, when you allow your vibration to rise, closer to the vibration of source or spirit or your higher self, you bypass the need for many of the pieces of paper in the stack, as you are already vibrating at a frequency that the lower papers in the stack are meant to lead to. Think of it in this way: if you are halfway to the summit of a mountain, you no longer need the signposts that are further down the mountain, you only need the signposts that continue to point upwards. Now, to return to our analogy, if you closely inspected any of the pieces of paper, you would also realize that the plans and choices were arranged in a way that reflected which plans and choice were most likely. So, for the purposes of our analogy, imagine that on each sheet of paper is what looks like a bullseye or the face of a dartboard. The plans are arranged in such a way that the most probable one is in the center, with the surrounding ones forming concentric rings around the center, with the next most probable plan surrounding the center, and so on. When you are operating within the vibrational signature of a particular piece of paper, that quantum sliver of the vibrational spectrum, then the closer your free will choices are to the center bullseye, the more likely you are to make the quantum leap to the next higher vibrational sliver, and thus the next page of paper directly above in the stack. This is why certain plans are given higher probabilities within each paper, because they are the plans that are most likely to result in growth. As channeled from the beings of light through Liesel, the possibilities for the earth and how they are intertwined with the ascension of humanity are beyond the comprehension of the human mind. Like the essentially infinite life plan possibilities there are for you depending on your free will choices, one could say that there are essentially infinite life plan possibilities for Gaia, your Mother Earth. All of the incarnate beings inhabiting her influence the working plan. As we have shared before, the smallest of transformational acts ripple out and amplify in their effects. In this way, your power to make a difference in the world is far greater than you believe it to be, and may not even be based primarily in action at the external level. Always remember that the most powerful transformational act is to raise your vibration, your level of awareness. Now, we would like to share a message from a part of us that is the loving intelligence that oversees the bees of your world. Some call this loving intelligence the Deva of bees. We so dearly hope that you, humans, find your way to your own version of hive-mindedness, to the realization of your connectedness and interdependence with all. Your expansion into the fullness of this awareness is imperative for all of us who have our home on the earth with you. We have surrendered and entrusted our fate at the physical level to you. Please hold it gently and lovingly. You are indeed a unique species. Because of your ability to think in complex ways, you also face a unique challenge, for the mental structures that develop in you can often block your awareness of your natural connection to all. You forget the true intelligence that is within you, and mistakenly believe that the intelligence of the mind is the truth. You have been chosen to make a great leap in evolution. You, who are receiving this now, are those who will show the way, those who are beginning to allow this true intelligence of the universe to fully arise within. This true intelligence can then flow into the mind and generate thoughts and ideas that are in harmony with the well-being of all on the planet. When, as a species, the majority of humans are in the state of allowing this transformation within themselves, there will be the dawn of a new age of love and harmonious living on Earth. This is the Ascension. We send you our deepest love and encouragement for your transformation. When you next see a bee visiting a flower, or hear our familiar buzz, remember what we have said and let it serve as a call to awareness to open further to the oneness of all. Surrender to the squeeze as channeled from the beings of light through Liesel. For many of you, your soul is boxing you, your personality-based self, into a corner right now and is squeezing you in such a way to effectively force evolution. The degree to which a soul is choosing to squeeze the personality varies from individual to individual. Yet, this also occurs within the broader context of a collective level of squeezing which affects all. No incarnate human on the planet right now can escape at least some level of squeezing unless they are already in a state of enlightenment. This is the evolutionary blessing inherent in being incarnate during the time of ascension. Many of you feel, in some ways, shattered by this process. It is resistance that causes rigidity. When rigid things are squeezed, they shatter. We suggest allowing yourself instead to dissolve or to melt. This is an act of surrender of the personality to the higher energies already coming through within. If you allow the feeling of being squeezed by life to be a kind of call to awareness like the Tibetan bells, then you can choose to surrender to the higher vibrations within when you become aware that you are suffering, which is generally due to resistance and non-acceptance of what is. You can surrender your resistance and non-acceptance and all other rigid thought structures of the ego or personality which are being squeezed to their breaking point. It is after the internal surrender, when the miracle occurs, which is the arising within yourself of an energy much deeper, far stronger, yet innately flexible because it is infinitely creative. This energy then helps you live your life, and through this empowered living, helps transform the external into a higher version of the manifest. Always know our love is truly with you, because our love truly is you.